Hi folks, Anthony here again. As I prepared to go to bed late last night, I spied a message that someone had left, I believe in connection to a survey that I'd put up about people's relationship to Scientology, and I'll look at the results of that survey after I respond to the comments. And again, these surveys are just meant to be fun and interesting. They're not scientific and they're not perfect. Anyway, the writer of this comment, Canadian Nathaniel Christopher, who has his own 7-year-old YouTube channel that looks at various topics, wrote, I don't know that you work for OSA, but you sometimes use content that is created by people who do. Okay, let's stop there for a minute because no content creator on YouTube likes to be accused of using other people's content. Now, I'll admit that I take a screenshot of somebody's video and post it, but that's a single image or a couple images from a longer video to illustrate my point. I don't even use parts of people's videos that would be acceptable under fair use rules and guidelines. Everything as far as the narration that I put in my videos is my own work, unless otherwise described, either verbally or in the text within the video. And by that, I mean sometimes I'll read some part of a Wikipedia article to give some background on somebody or a concept. And on occasion, in particular for a book review, after I've read the book, I may ask an AI app to generate a short list of key takeaways from the book or pros and cons of an idea or something like that. But if I do that, I always point out that it's not my work, although it's obviously going to be something that I believe in, and I point out the AI application that I use for that material. Now, I know that there's a lot of people out there that think that OSA is commenting or trolling YouTube channels. I don't know if that's the case, or if the trolls are just non-OSA trolls. Now, obviously, we all know that Scientology has hate sites that are websites dedicated to its critics. But it would be interesting to hear from somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, whether it's Mike Rinder or Smith Len, who could definitively point out if there are YouTube channels producing content that are specifically run by OSA to target individuals or groups in the ex-Scientology world. Obviously, Scientology probably has some straightforward pro-Scientology advertising channels. I'm talking about ones that are masquerading as something other than official Scientology channels. Okay, so let's continue. That is definitely a red flag, especially when the focus of your own content seems to be on discord or controversy within the ex-Scientology community. Now, I wonder if when viewers write things along these lines, and I get relatively few negative or accusatory comments from people, but I get some. But can anyone point out an actual red flag in any of my videos that indicates I might have some connection to OSA or Scientology? If you look at the history of my channel, and everything on everyone's channel on YouTube is out there and pretty public, unless the video has been set to private or whatever, then people will be able to see your download history and the type of channel content that you've put up and how long and what people's comments are. And if you look at my channel, you would see that I've covered a wide variety of things, from unboxing items that I've gotten from eBay and discussing selling things on that platform, to looking at stock investing and personal finance, unsolved mysteries like the D.B. Cooper skyjacking case over the Pacific Northwest, and a little bit about Jack the Ripper and the Zodiac serial killer of the late 1960s in California. I've done a number of various types of videos about heraldry, that's the study of coats of arms, and I have an occasional series on looking at what I term heraldic mysteries. For instance, looking at some unusual coats of arms that were issued or confirmed in Ireland when it was still part of the United Kingdom. And of course, I recently have done a lot, but not exclusively, content about the issues facing the Aftermath Foundation. And quite frankly, all the members involved seem to be moving on, and I would love to transition away from the discussions that we've been having on this case, although it's still one that many people, mainly strong supporters of Smith Len, want to continue litigating in the world of YouTube comment sections. Now, I could understand if my channel was created 2 months ago and only looks at Smith Len's conflicts with Chris Shelton, Antonio Ortega, and Mike Rinder, etc., that people might think, on the face of it, that I was a front for an OSA smear campaign. But take a few minutes and look at my YouTube homepage and the various categories that I've had and the various topics that I've covered over more than 3 years and over 380 videos. Does anyone honestly think that David Miscavige had the forethought to tell people in OSA to create a channel that was originally intended to be about side hustles and making extra money, and that looked at fairly obscure topics like coats of arms, and then maybe transition into slightly more popular topics like D.B. Cooper and the Zodiac Killer, all so that he could wait to spring it upon the world and stir up trouble once a crack had been developed within the ranks of the Aftermath Foundation? Maybe that's it. Maybe Nathaniel Christopher has cracked this case and broken up this clandestine operation. Okay, let's continue what he writes, particularly on the big names who are the main targets of OSA's hate campaigns. Okay, so it's true that I've looked at and referenced the so-called big names who were involved. Aaron Smith Levin, Claire Headley, Mark Headley, Mike Rinder, Chris Sheldon, and Tony Ortega. But if you think that I work for OSA, have you actually watched a single video that I've ever done about the ex-Scientology world? I don't know how many times I've done videos on that topic, but I'm guessing about 15 or 20. And it would take a few keystrokes to figure out that number, but I'm too lazy to. I just don't care what the exact number is. It's kind of ridiculous that I have to even respond to people making such accusations. But if you've watched any of my videos, while I'm critical of Aaron Smith Levin's behavior and go into great detail on what I think was problematic and what wasn't necessarily so, and I point out that I believe it was time for him to leave the Aftermath Foundation for various reasons, I've pointed out that I cast no moral judgment over what he did, simply that on many levels he's practicing poor decision-making skills, and that I'd hate to see anybody do that, especially someone like Aaron, whom I admire. I pointed out that because there are so many people who really like Aaron and who really hate other people, in particular Mike Rinder and Claire and Chris Sheldon, I could easily make 2 or 3 simple videos a day praising Aaron and attacking those other people, and I would get more clicks and views and likes and subs from those type of attack videos, which could be more money for myself. But when I bring that up, I point out that I'm not here just to get clicks or make a few extra cents. I'm here to try to look at an important situation and try to create a discussion where people are educated about what really happened, as far as we know, and how things like that can be avoided in the future. Avoided by the Aftermath Foundation, avoided by Aaron and his new foundation that he would like to create, and avoided by people throughout the United States and the world who might be on nonprofits that don't necessarily have a strong and robust set of policies and procedures and bylaws. In almost every video that I've done, I've told people that I like all the people involved, even if I don't, or even if I have critiques about some aspect of them, I don't see any of them as villains, and all of them seem like they would be cool to hang out with and talk to and learn from. If I was a front for OSA, would I encourage people not to unsubscribe from the parties involved? If you look at the comments in my videos, you'll see many people who have stated that they supported Aaron and have unsubscribed from Blown for Good and Mike Rinder's channels. And what have I said to all of those people in the comment section, as well as in the videos that I've done? I've encouraged people to not unsubscribe from those other videos and channels, and I've encouraged people to continue watching those people to try to get a more well-balanced view of the situation, specifically with the Aftermath Foundation and Aaron, and the post-Scientology world in general. Is that something OSA would do? Encourage people not to unsubscribe, but to continue their subscriptions and continue watching the people in question? I pointed out that at least early on, when Aaron commented about the break, he said that he still supported the mission of the Aftermath Foundation, and at least for a while, he had a link to it on his homepage on YouTube. I've encouraged people to continue donating to that organization, even if they don't like how Aaron was removed, assuming that they still support the mission of the organization, which is helping people get out of Scientology and get back on their feet. And as I've said in many videos, that I wish Aaron Smith Levin well with creating a new foundation, and I hope that he avoids making some of the mistakes with the new organization that were made in the past with the Aftermath Foundation. And I've pointed out that once he gets up and running, that if people want to financially support his new organization in the future, then they should do so. If I was an OSA shill, would that be the information that I would be giving out, encouraging people to keep funding one or both of these organizations? I think Aaron's departure to a degree has hurt the Aftermath Foundation, but I think that it will continue to do good work, and I believe that Aaron will have an organization in the future doing similar work with perhaps an expanded mission. Ask yourself, is it in the best interest of OSA and the Church of Scientology to have now two organizations that will be working to try to extract Sea Org members from Scientology? I don't think so. And while I don't really want to get on the radar of OSA by poking it and David Miscavige too much, I do on occasion portray the church and its leadership in a somewhat unflattering light. Do you think David Miscavige is signing off on that? How about Xenu? I've talked about everyone's favorite space tyrant on a number of occasions. Isn't this something that OSA and actual Church of Scientology officials are not supposed to publicly talk about? OT3s aren't even supposed to talk to other OT3s about it. So if I'm from OSA, why are they letting me talk about it, and in a way that demonstrates convincingly that Hubbard likely stole the idea from Stanley and Jack Kirby in a comic book that they had published in the early 1960s? And lastly, throughout most of my videos, I'll throw up a screenshot of an online newspaper article written about me announcing that I was going to give a speech at a local community organization. Here's the secret about me. My name is not really Anthony R.R. Mills. It's just Anthony R. Mills. But there's a lot of Anthony R. Millses out there in the world, but nobody using two R's. So that's why I picked it. If I ever finish some of my science fiction and fantasy novels that I've started, then maybe I'll be able to join the ranks of J.R.R. Tolkien and George R.R. Martin. Anyway, anyone that's bothered to Google me, and I mentioned that I live in Oregon, it's not hard to find out all about me. I'm a very well-known person here in Washington County, which is one of the more populous counties in the state of Oregon. I think if you came out and asked if I had any connection to the Church of Scientology, much less working for OSA, that people would look at you like you've just come from some other part of the Galactic Confederacy, or at least from Canada. And they would find it preposterous that I had any connection to the Church of Scientology. My work schedule and many community activities is widely known by many people, and they would know that I don't have time hanging out with anyone from the Church of Scientology. I've never been to Florida, and I've been to California probably on 3 occasions. Once when I was an infant, once when I was about 11 years old, and then a brief layover at the San Francisco airport. I'm not hanging around Gold Base, folks, and I'm not hanging around at Flag in Clearwater. And speaking of Canada, that's where our commenter is from, and you could see that he does a wide variety of topics on his channel. Perhaps he's the one with the 7-year-old channel who's trying to create the credentials of a non-OSA operative so that he can stir up trouble with such videos as comparing the taste of Diet Coke in Canada versus the United Kingdom, making tea in a hotel room, looking at the architecture of a university that no one's ever heard of, returning to his university, getting his braces taken off, and what he's accomplished with his life at the age of 37. I don't know, but if you ask me, there's more red flags here than at a May Day parade outside the Kremlin. Keep an eye on this guy to make sure that he's not David Miscavige's viceroy in Canada. Anyway, let's look at the poll that prompted this, and once you put up a poll, you can't edit it. You're restricted to 65 characters per answer option, which kind of limits you, and if you forget to put in something like another option, once you put up the poll, it's too late unless you just delete the whole thing and start over. Anyway, I thought this would be kind of fun, obviously not very scientific, but I asked the question, my relationship to Scientology, ... First option is I've never been in Scientology, and I've gotten 177 votes so far, and if you can see, that's 89% of the respondents. 3% of the respondents said that I was in, but no longer really a Scientologist. And of course, I being them, not me, Anthony Mills. 1% said that they're still a Scientologist publicly, but no longer believe. And quite frankly, after I uploaded the poll, I realized that I should have given the option of I'm still a believing Scientologist, although I'm not sure that there's too many believing Scientologists who are watching my videos. And lastly, the option is I work for OSA and have to watch your content / take your polls, with 7% of the respondents clicking on that option. Obviously, I'm guessing that those 7% of the people responding are just joking and not really working for OSA. My guess is OSA is spending time monitoring what members of the Aftermath Foundation and other prominent ex-Scientologists are saying, not taking polls put up by the Anthony R.R. Mills Show. Okay, I think that that's all for this video. It's actually Christmas Day, and I have the day off from work, so I have a couple other videos of various types that I'd like to get completed and uploaded today. As always, I do appreciate everyone who has subscribed. I do like to hear from people, so leave your comments in the comment section, even if you disagree with me. If you appreciate the effort that I put into these videos, hit the like button and be sure to check out my other videos. I find the topic of the post-Scientology world to be interesting from a sociological point of view, but watching too many videos on that or anything else can get kind of mentally tiring. So it's a nice change of pace to find other videos that might be more uplifting, or just to change a topic to get your mind off of toxic thoughts. So check out my other videos and maybe I'll have something of interest to you. Thanks so much.